A rule no one questioned. The stars were quiet tonight. No battles, no trade ships, no drifting wrecks. Only the slow hum of the patrol cruiser Valen as it drifted near the edge of the Drexian border zone. Kale adjusted his scanner, his 4 fingers tapping the control panel. He was young, too young, his commander often said, for a post this close to the dead sectors. But orders were orders. Out there, floating in the dark, was a massive ship, black, ancient, and asleep. Its name had long faded from its hull, but everyone knew what it was. A human ship. Kale's people called it the Coffin. The galaxy had another name for it. The Warning. There was only one rule every star system obeyed. Never wake the humans. No one knew the full reason. Some claimed humans had been too violent, too unpredictable, too willing to fight until the last breath. Others whispered that the humans had faced something far worse than any alien war, and had locked themselves away to keep the rest of the galaxy safe. Kale had always thought it was just a story, a scare tactic to keep young cadets in line. After Paul, the ship had been floating here for over 600 years. Silent, harmless until tonight, a faint ping echoed from his console. Kale frowned. His scanner showed movement. No, not movement. A signal. It came from inside the human ship. "Commander," Kale called out, keeping his voice steady. "We're receiving a transmission." His commander, a broad-scaled Drexian named Varys, approached with slow, heavy steps. His yellow eyes narrowed when he saw the readout. The signal wasn't in any known galactic language. It was short, repetitive, and it was counting down. "Back away from the console," Varys ordered. "Do not respond. Do not touch it." Kale hesitated. "It's only numbers. Counting. Down from 100. Varys's voice dropped to a growl. "That is not only numbers. That is a wake-up code. We hold position. We call for fleet command." Kale's throat went dry. "Wake-up code? For them?" The commander didn't answer. He stared at the human ship through the observation window. The black metal hull seemed to drink in the starlight, its surface marked by strange, sharp lines that looked almost like scars. The countdown hit 20. Kale's instincts screamed to run. His people's records told of worlds turned to ash, fleets scattered, enemies erased, and yet no proof remained. No one alive had ever seen a human awake. The ship trembled. From deep within, a low rumble passed through the void, faint but steady, like a massive heart beginning to beat again. Lights flickered along the edges of the hull, cold blue at first, then shifting to a deep, bloody red. 10. The commander barked orders. "Shields at maximum. Weapons primed. Do not fire unless fired upon." Kale kept his eyes on the numbers. 7, 6, 5. The human ship's central hatch, a massive circle, etched with strange runes, began to turn. A hiss of vapor spilled into the dark, like the ship was exhaling after a long sleep. 3, 2, 1. The hatch split open. A wave of cold mist poured into the void, drifting across the gap toward the Valen. Inside, shadows shifted. Heavy footsteps echoed from deep within the corridor. A tall shape emerged, armor dark as midnight, a helmet smooth and featureless, save for a single glowing slit where eyes might be. The figure stopped at the threshold, looking directly toward Kale's ship. Then a voice crackled across the comms, cold and calm. "Who woke me?" The forbiddance hatched. The comms fell silent after the voice. No one on the Valen dared to answer. Kale felt his chest tighten. The figure at the hatch didn't move, but he could feel its eyes, human eyes, behind that visor. Shields at full. "Hold position," Commander Varys barked. His tone was firm, but his claws tapped against his belt. Kale knew that meant fear. The human stepped forward, slow and deliberate. His boots made a deep metallic thud on the hatch floor. Each step sent out a faint vibration the scanners picked up. Identity. The human's voice demanded again, calm but with an edge that cut straight through Kale's nerves. Who woke me? Kale swallowed. It wasn't us. We? Silence. The wrist snapped. Do not answer it. The human tilted his head, almost like he was studying them. Then he turned slightly and looked deeper into the ship. Kale followed his gaze and froze. Behind the human, dim lights flickered, revealing rows and rows of tall glass pods. Each pod held a figure inside. All human, all wearing the same black armor. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. Get us away from here, Varys ordered. Full reverse thrusters. The pilot hesitated. Sir, we can't move. The commanders. Scales rippled. What do you mean? Our engines. They're offline. Something is locking us in place. The human turned back toward them, his visor glowing faintly. Too late to run. From inside the human ship, a deep hum began to build. The glass pods behind him released faint bursts of mist, like they were breathing. Kale's stomach nodded. Are they waking up? The human didn't answer. He stepped into the mist and disappeared from sight. Varys slammed the panel. Fleet Command, this is Patrol Valen. The human ship is active. I repeat, it is static. The comms went dead. Kale's scanner showed something worse. Every ship in the sector, Drexian or otherwise, was losing power. The human ship was draining them all. And then the pods began to open. One by one. Figures stepped out taller than Kale expected, moving with the silent confidence of predators. Their armor gleamed under the cold red lights. They didn't speak. They didn't look around. They moved like they already knew what to do. Kale couldn't breathe. He finally understood why the galaxy had that one rule. The humans didn't look like they were waking from sleep. They looked like they'd been waiting for this moment. Cliffhanger. From somewhere deep inside the ship, a voice Kale couldn't see spoke through the comms low, steady and dangerous. If I'm awake, they'll all be awake soon. Asterisk the sleeping legion. The words echoed in Kale's head. If I'm awake, they'll all be awake soon. He wanted to believe it was a threat meant to scare them. But the mist-filled corridor behind the human told a different story. The pods were opening slow. Deliberate-like, the ship was choosing which ones to wake first. Commander Varys barked orders to the crew. Seal the blast shields. Get weapons online. The weapons officer's voice cracked. Sir, I don't think it matters. They're inside the range. The first pod fully opened. A human stepped out, her armor marked with jagged white scars. She didn't speak. She didn't even look around. She walked straight toward the tall human at the hatch. The one Kale now knew was in command. Report, the commander said, his voice sharp but quiet. Systems stable. Awakenings at 12%, she answered without hesitation. 12%. And already over 100 humans were moving inside. Kale pressed closer to the observation glass. He saw the humans begin to split into groups. Some moved toward massive weapon racks lining the walls. Others disappeared deeper into the ship. Not a single movement was wasted. It was like watching a war machine unfold itself piece by piece. Then the lights changed. The cold red glow shifted to a pulsing gold, and the hum beneath the ship deepened until Kale felt it in his bones. What are they doing? He whispered. The human commander turned his helmet toward the Valen, as if he'd heard Kale through the glass, calling the rest. Varys slammed the emergency override. We need reinforcements now. But the galaxy was already answering, just not in the way they hoped. Blips appeared on Kale's scanner. Dozens of ships were dropping out of warp around them, warships from other alien races, all drawn by the same wake signal. None of them were allies. The comms lit up with overlapping warnings and threats. Every captain wanted the same thing, to control the human ship. Inside, the human pods kept opening. Kale saw one of the humans massive, broad-shouldered, his armor a darker shade than the rest. Paused beside a pod that hadn't opened yet. He placed his gauntlet hand on the glass and murmured something Kale couldn't hear. The pod hissed. The figure inside opened their eyes. Kale's blood ran cold. Those eyes weren't like the others. They were burning with an unnatural gold light. Priority awakening, a human commander said. The gold-eyed human stepped out, scanning the room with a look that made even the other humans pause. Kale finally understood. This wasn't just a crew. It was a legion, and they were only now starting to wake. Cliffhanger. The human commander raised his hand, and every awakened soldier stopped moving. His voice came across every open channel, imperfect. Galactic Common, the galaxy woke us. Now it belongs to us again. The first strike, the alien warships surrounding the human vessel armed their weapons. Energy shields flared to life, casting rippling light across the darkness of space. Commander Varys gritted his teeth. They'll tear each other apart. We just need to stay out of it. But Kale knew that wasn't true. The humans weren't surrounded. They were waiting. Inside the ancient ship, the gold-eyed human stepped forward, speaking to the commander. Coordinates locked. Systems online. Permission to engage? The commander's visor turned toward him. Engage. No warning. No signal. Just a flash. The human ship's hull split open in sections. Kale hadn't even known existed, revealing weapons so massive they looked like parts of the ship itself. Dark, blade-like cannons rotated into position, each one humming with a low, predatory energy. Then they vanished. Kale blinked. The ship was still there. He could see it, but the scanners read nothing. No mass, no energy signature. Like it had been erased from the universe. The alien fleets hesitated for only a second. Then one ship fired. The return strike was instant. A beam of white light shot from nowhere, carving through the alien vessel as if its armor were paper. The ship broke apart without even exploding, just crumbling into glowing fragments. The rest of the alien fleet opened fire in panic. That was the humans. Moment, Kale saw them move not in shuttles, not in fighters, but in person. Soldiers in black armor appeared on the enemy ships, as if they had stepped through the void itself. They moved with impossible speed. One human placed a small device on an enemy hull and vanished. The ship detonated seconds later. Another boarded a command vessel, and, within moments, its lights went dark as it drifted powerless into the void. Kale's heart pounded. How are they doing that? Varys didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on the human commander, who hadn't moved from the hatch. He simply raised his hand, pointing at the next target. Kale realized something terrifying. This wasn't chaos. It was planned. Every move, every kill, perfectly timed. The alien fleets broke formation. Some tried to run. Others tried to surrender. The humans ignored both. One by one, the warships vanished from the scanner, either destroyed or captured. In less than 10 minutes, the space around the human ship was silent again. Only drifting debris and faint energy trails remained. The human commander finally stepped back inside his ship, his voice carrying across the comms. Phase 1 complete. Begin Phase 2. Kale didn't know what Phase 2 was, but he was sure it was worse. Cliffhanger. Deep inside the human vessel, the gold-eyed soldier pressed a button on the central console. Somewhere, far beyond this sector, others sleeping. Ships began to wake. The reason for the law. Kale's hands trembled as he pulled himself away from the scanner. The battle was over, if it could even be called a battle. The alien fleets were gone. Entire warships had been erased as if they'd never existed. The human ship floated quietly again, like a predator resting after a kill. Commander Varys paced. Behind him, whispering something Kale had never heard from him before prayers. The comms crackled. A voice came through, deep and calm. "Kale, come aboard." Kale froze. "How do they know my name?" "Do not go," Varys growled. "You step on that ship, you never come back." The voice repeated, more firmly this time. "Kale, now." Kale didn't remember deciding to move. His legs carried him to the docking bay, like they were no longer his own. The hatch of the Valen opened, and he stepped into the mist-filled corridor of the human vessel. The air was cold and heavy, carrying a faint metallic taste. He followed the path without being told, until he found himself in a massive chamber. Command deck. The human commander stood there, visor now lifted. Kale saw his face for the first time scarred, weathered, and too calm for someone who had just destroyed a fleet. "You want to know why the galaxy fears us?" the commander said. Kale swallowed hard. "Yes." The commander motioned to a holoscreen. It came alive with images, old, grainy recordings from a war Kale had never seen in history archives. Planets burning, skies torn apart, entire fleets wiped out in minutes. "This," the commander said, "was the last time humans were awake." Kale's throat went dry. You were fighting an enemy?" The commander's eyes hardened. "We were the enemy. At least to them. No one could stop us. Not armies, not alliances, not even our own kind. We didn't wage war to win. We waged war to erase threats entirely." Kale's voice shook. "So they made the law to protect themselves from you?" The human shook his head slowly. "No, the law was to protect you from what happens when we wake." Kale turned toward the holoscreen again. The last recording showed something worse than the battle's a quiet aftermath. Empty worlds, silence across star systems. No survivors. "We put ourselves to sleep," the commander said. "It was the only way to stop the cycle. If we stayed awake, the galaxy would be ash by now." Kale stared at him. "Then why wait now?" The commander's voice dropped to a cold whisper. "Because someone called us. And once we're called, we don't go back to sleep until the job is done." Kale's heart pounded. "What job?" The gold-eyed human stepped forward from the shadows, answering for him. "To end every threat in the galaxy. Forever." Cliffhanger. The holoscreen shifted, showing dozens of red markers across the galaxy, each one a target. The gold-eyed humans. Finger hovered over a control. "We start here." The storm across the stars. The targets lit up one by one on the holoscreen worlds Kale had only heard of in passing. Trade capitals, fortress moons, hidden shipyards. Every one of them was about to vanish. The human commander spoke in a calm, almost patient tone. "Phase 2 begins now. Each fleet will take its sector. No delays." Kale shook his head. "Fleet? You only have one ship." The gold-eyed human smirked. "Do we?" The chamber's walls shifted, sliding apart to reveal a massive window into the void. Kale's breath caught. Out there, emerging from warp, came ship after ship after ship. They weren't new. They were ancient, like the commander's vessel, each one built for war. Their black hulls drank the starlight, their massive weapons gleaming faintly. Hundreds of them. Kale realized they hadn't just woken the humans here. The wake signal had gone across the galaxy. To every hidden human fleet. In orbit above the first target world, alien defenses scrambled. Shields flared, planetary cannons roared to life. The humans didn't wait for negotiations. Their ships fired once, just once, and entire defense grids collapsed. Then the soldiers moved in. Kale saw the feed from ground-level black armored. Humans appearing in the streets, like shadows come to life. They weren't there to occupy. They weren't there to enslave. They were there to erase. Across the galaxy, alien governments panicked. Some sent pleas for peace. Others prepared counterattacks. It didn't matter. The humans struck too fast, too perfectly coordinated. No channel stayed secure for more than minutes before humans were listening in. No fleet lasted longer than an hour. Kale's people, the Drexians, tried to stay neutral. But the commander made it clear, neutrality is not protection. You're either with us, or you're a problem to solve. The attacks spread like a tide of darkness. Kale watched. Whole star systems go silent, replaced on the map by a simple human crest, an ancient emblem of Earth. But there was something even worse. Kale began noticing strange spikes in the wake signals pattern. They weren't just calling human fleets anymore. They were calling something else. "Commander," Kale asked quietly, "what happens when you finish?" The human didn't answer. He only looked out at the burning worlds and said, "We don't finish. We clean." Cliffhanger. The holoscreen flashed with a new signal. An enormous human war platform, larger than a moon, had just gone active. Its heading, the Galactic Councils. Homeworld, asterisk. Now you'll see why the Galactic Council's homeworld had never known fear. It was the heart of law, trade, and power, protected by the largest fleet in recorded history. But as Kale stood on the human command deck, staring at the holoscreen, he knew all that protection meant nothing now. The enormous war platform, black, angular, bristling with weapons, moved slowly through the void, escorted by hundreds of human warships. It dwarfed everything around it. Even the stars seemed smaller. Beside it, Council fleets formed a defensive wall, thousands of ships locking into tight formations. Their admirals sent out broadcast after broadcast. Turn back or be destroyed. The human commander didn't even answer. Instead, he gave a single hand signal. The war platform opened. Kale's mind struggled to process what he saw: rows of massive cannons, long-range beam arrays, and something in the center that pulsed like the heart of a living creature. The Council fired first. It didn't matter. The platform's central weapon unleashed a single wave of white light. Not a beam. Not an explosion. A wave. When it passed, the Council's entire front line was gone. Ships, crews, debris erased as if they'd never existed. Kale's breath caught. That's not a weapon. It's a deletion. The gold-eyed human glanced at him. Exactly. We don't conquer, we remove. Panic tore through the Council fleets. Some tried to scatter, but the humans were faster. Ships were boarded and silenced in seconds. Command stations went dark. Orbital defenses collapsed without a fight. Kale's eyes stayed locked on the planet below. Civilian transports were lifting off in desperation, but human ships didn't fire on them. They simply vanished, pulled into containment bays for processing. Finally, the war platform stopped just above the Council capital. The commander's voice echoed across every channel in the system, translated into every known language. You kept the law for 600 years. You broke it. Now you'll see why. It existed. From orbit, Kale watched as the humans activated the platform's final function. The planet's surface began to shimmer, then peel away like dust in the wind. Cities, oceans, mountains gone in seconds, until nothing remained but bare rock-dot silence filled the galaxy. The last Council transmissions were replaced by a single emblem, the old crest of Earth, now broadcast across every system. Kale realized the truth. The humans weren't just awake. They were building something. A new order. The commander turned to him one last time. "Remember this," he said, quietly. "The next time you hear the law, follow it." Kale could only nod, because now he knew it wasn't a warning. It was a prayer. Asterisk.